been looking for a podcast to help you transform your physical and mental? One that'll shoot you straight between the eyes with truth and no BS, helping you have the right mindset to accomplish things, the iron will and fortitude to follow through with what you say you're going to do. No excuses. Mark owns martial arts schools, and after 30 years, he has some real insight for real talk, real life, real conversations, motivational, fitness, self-defense, weight loss, live from the Great 1-8. This is Real Talk with Mark Cox.
There we are. We're live. Good morning, Guro Francis. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing so good, so good. I'll get into the story and how we met and stuff like that. But let me just give you a couple minutes to introduce yourself. Let our guests know. Welcome everybody to Beyond the Mat. If you haven't been with me before, we get entrepreneurs, martial artists, coaches, people that change other people's lives and get their stories out there on the airwaves. And we want to thank my sponsor, Emilio Ramon, also, that's on the bottom right here. He's the one that helped me write my book. Just in case you guys didn't know, I wrote a book.
Nice.
Called Beyond the Mat, and I kept this is my book right here. And I wrote the book on kind of what it was like for me to, start a podcast and then get started in the martial arts world and my ups and downs of it. So with no further ado, Francis, why don't you take it away and introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Francis Serrano. People know me as Big Boy Screamador. That's my handle on TikTok and on the gram. How is like the kids say nowadays, right? And I'm just so grateful that Mark invited me to be a part of this. And he was mentioning about, he brings in people that transforms entrepreneurs, that just encourages a lot of people. And he also brings me in. So, I'm just very grateful for that. I own Filipino Martial Arts School here in Riverside. I also co-own WakWak Padded Sticks, which is a new WakWak company that manufactures and sells quality padded sticks, that's durable and yet still be able to have some fun with it. And I've been a Filipino martial artist, for over 25 years now. So I think I kind of like it. So, yeah. And I also host, Kuya Doug Marqueda on his seminar here in Los Angeles, here in Southern California a few months ago. And I'm hosting him again next month with Legacy FMA in San Francisco in October. So if you guys want more information, that's legacyfma.com/Doug Marqueda. So thanks for having me, Mark. I appreciate it.
Yes, great introduction. So let's talk about your TikTok handle, right? You call yourself Big Boy Screamer, correct?
Yes. Big Boy Screamer, yes.
And so I've been watching you.
Oh, thank you.
For probably, I don't know, about a year, right? I just kind of, I'm one of those, I'm the same one that scrolls through and watches TikTok videos all the time. And then I kind of hit follow button on things that are interesting to me. And so I've been watching you for a while because in my martial arts world, when I talk to you, I've done Filipino martial arts, and it's one of the ones I enjoy the most, especially when it comes to sticks.
Right.
I think sticks is a great equalizer.
Right.
Doing a background in Krav Maga and what I do, somebody has a knife on you, it's a very scary thing, but I believe that a stick can be a great equalizer on somebody with a knife.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so I've always been intrigued by them. And I think I told you before, Ron Balicki and Danny Insanto is kind of where my lineage, I guess, would be kind of in that world, right?
Right.
So I brought it in. I brought that into Tong Soo Do a long time ago when I was doing it, even before Krav Maga. And so I've been doing it for a long time. So I've always been kind of intrigued by watching you and other Filipino martial arts that are out there. And I was like, I said, I'm going to reach out to him. I'd like to have him on the show because I've watched you, to be honest with you. I'll tell you, it takes some balls to get out there.
Oh, absolutely.
And put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
Okay. Especially on TikTok. Because I've done this a few times and I've watched your demeanor. You have an excellent demeanor when you put people's questions up, or how, shit talkers, whatever and stuff like that. And I've watched how you kind of interact, and you have a really good demeanor about yourself. I suck at that, just so you know. Sometimes when I've put stuff out there and they want to come back and the haters come back, and I'm like, 21360 Devonshire, that's my studio. You can find me any day. Monday night's fight class. Get your ass down here. Let's go. Right. And I just can't. I couldn't handle the backlash. I guess I just didn't have the backbone to let things run off your back. So let's talk about that.
Sure.
How did you decide to do TikTok?
Sure.
Why did you decide to do it?
Sure. So there's really only one person to blame, and I use the word blame for getting me in TikTok, and it's this guy, Doug Marqueta, right? So Kuya, I call him Kuya, which is in Filipino means big brother, right? Or somebody just older. He is older, right? He was telling me, Francis, you got to get on this TikTok train. You got to get this on this TikTok train. And so I did. And one of the things that he's encouraged me to do is to talk about my journey as a big person, a person of size, being a real Filipino martial artist. And so that was part of the journey. So, I started dabbling in it a little bit. Then I started having fun with it. And then during the pandemic, I'm like, wow, I have a lot of time. So, and then,
yeah, we did.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, I got nowhere to go. I better, So I really, and then I have a business I'm running. I was still running FMASCHOOL at the time. I still am. So I had to find ways to be more creative to keep myself out there, and that's how I did it. And then I started getting, especially when Doug would post something for me, comments such as, I have a son who is also a person of size. But because this person, they have been ridiculed their whole life, that they don't leave the house anymore. How do you do it, Francis? And I'm like, that's my reason. That's my fuel to start doing it. And I'm not going to lie to you, Mark, there is, when people give me these very negative comments, I don't reply right away. I wait like a week before I reply because I'm just like any other guy, man. I'm like, oh yeah, you're saying I'm fat? Well, your mama, I mean, I'm like, your mama eats rice, kind of stuff. I'm ready to retaliate, but I try to use cooler heads. I try to use what Christ has taught us, which is turn the other cheek, right? And so I usually wait about a week before I respond to that. And I'm not gonna lie, man. It was hard. It was hard to read these comments, these negative comments, and it was hard for me to just kind of live within that social media, spotlight that I was on. And I don't have I have a very small channel. It's not like it's something huge, but it was still very hurtful. So I was working with my therapist. And my therapist gave me some tools that I don't even use. So one of the things that she told me was, you get to control when you see these comments, right? So one of the things that TikTok does is they allow you to choose, to review every comment, right? And then you can choose who you want to reply to and who you don't want to reply to, and then pick a place where you would reply to these videos in a place where you feel strongest, when you feel like the most confident, right? Where you feel like your most badassery, right? So that was that. And then the last thing she suggested was pick 1 hour of every week, not every day, every week, to just look at that. So that is the hour that you're going to prepare yourself to be able to do that, and you don't have to deal with it till the following week. The moment she told me that I have control over all these things, that's all I needed. I didn't do what she suggested, but the mere fact that I can gave me the courage to do it. So from then on, that's when it started becoming rolling off off my back, where I was just like, I really don't care. People would tell me, and I'm sure you get this too, Mark. I'm like, I challenge you to a fight. Okay. And then I bet you I can kick your ass. You probably could. You know, I mean, I'm not gonna enter into this measuring contest, right? I won't. I would disengage. So I would just say, yeah, I bet you could, and yeah, you could probably beat me up. But keep in mind that if you come over and attack me, yeah, you can beat me up, but you're not walking away unscathed. You know, you're not gonna walk. You're gonna walk with a limp for the rest of your life, right? And so if you're ready for that, I'm right here, and that's when they usually back off because I'm like, nope, I've got my ass kicked before. You're gonna get but I don't. I have nothing to prove. But if you come at me, you better come prepared because you're not gonna walk away the same way you walked in. So that's part of the thing. So when I was trying to come up with a handle for myself, you know, Big Boy Screamador with collaboration with Kuya Doug, that's the name that I came up with, right? I'm a big person, right? And I'm in the Screamador, so that's just kind of Big Boy Screamador. That's how that came about. So but now what I remind myself is that for every 1,000 jerks out there, there's one or two people that I'm helping, you know, encouraging them to do martial arts or to do whatever really what they want, right? It doesn't even have to be martial arts, but to do whatever they want and just do it because it's for them, not for anybody else. You know, just because they enjoy it. That's all that matters is that they enjoy it. And I'm like, you know what? Just like what Christ said, you know, if one person finds, you know, the truth, there's a greater celebration in heaven than anything else, right? And if I can help one person, then whatever tragedy or whatever ridicule I go through, totally worth it. Totally worth it. So that's why I do what I do.
Yeah, I told you that before that. I think that's why I've watched how you've and you don't want to ray from it either. You'll put their comments on and then you'll hit it straight on top of it, right? So I was like, you know, I'd like to get him on, you know, because learning something from you as far as that goes is watching your patience, right? And how you dealt with it. And that's why I kind of reached out to you, just so you know. I don't even know if I explained that to you, why
yes, you did.
Why I decided to do that. And so I wanted to make sure that, you know, I brought you on. I want to talk about that. If I see it so much here also, and I know that, you know, I'm no small person myself, but I've been this way. You know, if you look back on pictures of me in junior high school, I was lifting weights already probably when I was 12 years old, right? My dad already had one of the, you know, old sets, concrete sets in the garage. You know what I mean? You drop the weights, everything breaks.
Right.
And so I've always been bigger than everybody, whether it's just, you know, just built bigger than everybody as it was. I was an athlete. I played all the sports that I could. I played, you know, high school football and I did all that stuff even back then. But I never fit the norm of what people's size were at those times.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that it developed me. I was bullied. I'm not sure if you were or not, but I was bullied strong. And I remember the day it stopped I remember it like vividly, like yesterday, like in my mind. We were on a basketball court on the blacktop, and I was in junior high school. Back then, junior high school was 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Right.
When I was in school, right?
Okay.
And so I was 7th grade. I was a scrub, and you know, 9th graders were on the basketball court out there on the asphalt, and we're playing. And he just would be relentless on me, right? You know, relentless on me. And I just got tired of it. And I just picked him up and I just slammed him on the ground, right? Out of anger.
Right.
And I remember being on top of him. I didn't do any martial arts at that time. I hadn't even thought about martial arts, as a matter of fact. But being on top of him.
Yeah.
And I was just like, right? And I'm telling you, the fear that I saw in his eyes, it's like blood in the water for the sharks.
Yeah,
right.
It's chumming
and it escalated me. And I said, "Oh, you don't like it, do you? You don't like it?" And I said, "Open your mouth one more time to me." And I said, "This is exactly what's going to happen." Then wham! All of a sudden, my reputation became a whole different ball game. Right.
Right.
Like, oh, you don't say nothing. No, don't say anything. And so it was never talk to my face anymore. It's talk behind my back or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's how it started. And I don't know how your bullying things, it when it gets to be that way, your defenses are so up that you almost become the bully that was bullying you, right? Because you're in such a defensive mode all the time. It's like, I already know what you're thinking. Open up your mouth and I'll punch you. I would just punch your face.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is how I remember this, man, as a young dude. And I was an angry 20-year-old. And that's when I found martial arts, right? Because my brother's way different than me, right? We speak often. My brother's the pastor and all that. And I say he walks on water, I kind of tread. That's the difference of me and my brother. And so I remember talking to him and saying, hey, he wanted to go do martial arts before he went into high school. And I remember, I tell the story in my book too. I picked him up. I was bigger than my brother, and I picked him up, and I was just like, ugh, and he just bang, and he headbutts me, and I'm like, oh hell no, nah, we're doing this together. We're doing this journey together. I'm not having my brother be kicking my ass. No way.
Yeah, exactly.
And
is he older than you or younger than you?
He's young. I'm 8 years older than him.
Okay.
And so he's my baby brother. Yeah. And so that's my journey. That's how I started. Nice. And I remember I had the right instructor to kind of curve not that it was easy, because, I was already I was the pit bull in the school, man. I was the one that liked to fight. I was the one that would fight the drop of a hat.
Right.
And still had a lot of anger issues. And even as taking martial arts, I'm bigger than everybody else. So I had to do it better than everybody else. So, I had to learn how to kick somebody that's 6'2" in the face. I did all this. And so I don't know. So did you have the bullying in your past?
Yes, I definitely did. So when my family migrated here from the Philippines, I was only 9 years old. And at the time, my teacher, they give out pink and blue folders, pink for the girls, blue for the boys, right? But because my name is Francis, she thought I was a girl. So she gave me a pink folder. Now, I didn't really think twice about it. To me, it's just a folder, right? But that's when the bullying began, right? It didn't help that I had a college-age reading level for a third grader, because Filipinos, we learn how to speak English in the Philippines at a very young age. And by the time when you move to America, when you're in grade 1, you're already at college age reading level. So that didn't help the mere fact that they would always separate the groups from one, per your reading level. And because my reading level was so high, I was by myself. In fact, like the teacher had to lower me to high school level just so that I have somebody to hang, just to have a group, right? So I got jumped. And I remember one time I had 8 guys ready to kick my ass. And I'm like, and I, no martial arts training, just, and I remember my mom running across the campus, swinging an umbrella, right? She was doing the umbrella block, apparently, so she's swinging the umbrella and she was beating up these kids. And what's crazier than that, on the way home, she was yelling at me for not fighting back. It's like, why'd you fight back? Why'd you fight back? And I'm like, there was 8 of them. And she was like, who cares? Fight back. And so now, unfortunately, this is where, the one parent and the other parent have contradicting directions. My mother is she's an entrepreneur. She's a businesswoman. Everything I know about business, I learned from her. So she's and then keep in mind that she was running businesses in like the 60s when my sister was born, by herself. She was a single mother in the Philippines. So being a woman in the Philippines and a single mother, nobody took her seriously. So she had to be aggressive in her businesses, right? So she taught me how to be aggressive. But my father was a pacifist. In fact, he was the reason why I didn't start martial arts till I was 19. Because he was a pacifist. And part of the reason why he was a pacifist was during World War II, my grandfather, his father, was burned alive by the Japanese in front of him when he was 11 years old. So you can imagine the kind of trauma, and the kind of mental scars that he got from that. And his thinking was, I just abhor violence. And I don't want my son at contributing to that violence into the world, right? But my mother was like, yeah, but don't let anybody push you around. So it took me a long time to reconcile that. So my immediate defense, like a lot of people of size, is to become the funny guy, right? To be the guy. Nobody hates the guy that's making everybody laugh, right? So I remember that was third grade. I got bullied practically every day. In fourth grade, the biggest bully, the leader of all the bullies that bullied me, sat next to me in my fourth grade class. And I just asked him, I'm like, hey, man, is this going to be just like last year? He's like, no, man, you keep coming back. No matter what I do, I couldn't stop you. Right. And I'm like, yeah, that's how I get you. Your hand hurts from hitting my face too much, huh, sucker? Right. And he just started laughing. And then he and I became best friends. And because he was the leader of the bullies, he wouldn't let anybody else bully me after that. He's like, nobody bullies him. No, leave him alone, right? This is fourth grade. He's got sixth graders scared of him, right? They're like, nope, nobody bullies him. So, but yeah, you learn to find ways to deal with bullies, whether you learn how to fight back or you learn how to, make them laugh so that they don't hit you. But either way, you learn some sort of defensive posture. And then because of my upbringing of trying to be more of a pacifist, right? I had to learn a way of defending myself with not using my fist so much, but using this. So, and I guess that kind of translated to me doing martial arts as I am today.
Well, so that story, which I didn't know about, that story that you're talking about right there explains exactly why you have that demeanor. Yeah, that deals with people. That's right on the money. And you are correct that you talk about. I tell this all the time. There's two different fat people, the Jolly Ollies, and the ones that are borderline bullies, like will fight at the drop of a hat. Well, that was me. Right. You know what I mean? And I remember, I'm like, go ahead, say it, man. I'll knock the snot right out of you. You know what I mean? I remember vividly. And, that was my defense mechanism back then. And then, so, imagine, right? Then I do martial arts and I kind of start learning how to curve it, but I also become more and more dangerous with what I can do. Right. And now, so people ask me now, I'm an old man now. So, but I'll tell you what, I can still go from zero to death row in about 1 second. You know what I mean? It's dangerous for us. It's dangerous for us because we have educated hands, and and so one of the things that my teacher, Chief Joe, taught me at the very beginning was like, I'm not teaching bullies here. I'm also teaching you not to be bullied, but I'm not teaching bullies here. And I remember he told me this, and I say the exact same thing to my students all the time. If I ever hear you start a fight with somebody, the next fight's with me. So if you're going to bully somebody, you better be better than me already. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna. So just kind of, I'm gonna leave that alone. So. Yeah. So we've definitely chewed the same dirt as far as that goes. And you can see there's definitely a contrast in us. And I think that's what attracted me to your how you dealt with things. Right. I was like, man, he's way better at that than I am. Well, way better. And it's taken me a long time to learn how to suppress that. Right. That's why I always everybody asks me about the Hulk, right? He's my favorite. You see, I got him tattooed on me all over the place. Nice. And I said, I totally relate to him because I can go from 0 to 100. And it's, he's always trying to suppress himself to be not the Hulk that I just relate to that so much. And then martial arts kind of gave me that, that way out. Yeah. And, and then I guess sparring was the next thing, right? I was actually, being able to release in fight class, right? Where, we're out there banging and you're allowed to bang in there and you're getting hit a little bit. And I'm one of those guys that enjoyed that. I enjoyed the mix up. I enjoyed getting in there and just boom, you know what I mean? Right. And fighting. And then I had a health scare. I think I told you, you don't want to have blood clots. And then that's how jujitsu came into play, because I was told, hey, man, you can't take no contact to the head anymore.
Right.
But then jujitsu came into play. And then believe it or not, all the martial arts I've done, jujitsu is what's helped curve my mindset the most. Now, isn't that weird? Even at 60 years old, being in martial arts for 39 years or whatever it is I am. And I find that in my life. So now I understand now, because you were teaching now, I think, out of your garage for a while. And then now you've actually opened up a school now. Is that correct?
Yes, I have. I actually have a studio now. Yeah, no, I mean, I've always told everybody that any martial arts, right, it's a positive outlet for your negative energy, right? I mean, we all have negative energy. We all have bad days. We all have, crappy bosses, kind of thing. I always tell my students, like, if you're having a bad day from work, and because your boss is pissing you off, bring a picture of your boss. We'll put him in the punching bag, and just beat it up that way, right? Just whatever frustration you have, take it out on the bag. The bag, the one thing about when you're hitting something that you're allowed to hit, right? Without going to prison. The thing about when you're punching a punching bag, or in FMA cases, striking a tower of tires or whatever, right? Is that no matter how hard you hit it, it's you're in your mind, it's telling you, is that it? Is that all you got? You can hit harder than that. And my mama hits harder than that, right? And then so you have no choice but to let out every energy you have until you're at the point you're about to throw up, because you have nothing left. And you're like, I'm just too tired to be angry anymore, right? I'm just too tired to hang on to this anger, and I'm just gonna let it go. And then you're like, and then you walk away from the studio, from training, feeling like, well, I feel a lot better because I'm not angry anymore, And so that's what I tell my students. And now teaching out of a garage, that was like the best gig, because like my commute was always so easy. I just go out to my garage, I always tell my students, like, I consider you late if I get there before you do, right? If I get there 7:05, I start class at 7:00. If I get there at 7:05 and you got there at 7:04, you're not late because I got there after you did, right? But it's really hard. It's really, really hard for you to get there before I do, especially when I just have to go to my garage, right? So I miss that. Oh my goodness, that was so much easier, especially now gas is so freaking expensive, right? I'm like, wow. But at the same time, FMA school needed to grow. We needed, I can only teach so many ways, so many people in my garage, right? I am a slave to the weather. Normally we have good weather here in Southern California, but as of recently, we've been getting a lot more rain, right? Which, we needed, no doubt, but it definitely stopped my program for a while, right? So it was important for me to find a commercial studio space so I could finally elevate FMA to the next level.
Did TikTok help you build your studio, or is it just help get who you are out? Did it do anything to help you in your business grow at all?
Yes. Short answer, yes. Long answer, yes, very much. Because there's two things that TikTok presented to me. During the pandemic is when I started really getting into TikTok, right? I needed to find a way to continue getting the word out there. Now, I'm sure you know this, Mark, in marketing, the moment you really ramp up is when there's a kind of a recession, right? Because if you wait till the economy starts picking back up again, you're going to be behind the ball, right? So the pandemic was a global disaster, global issue, but it really created a unnatural recession, right? So I knew I had to step up, and I also had to find a way to maintain to keep my business going. So a lot of our colleagues did Zoom training, right? They would just set up they would set up their computer and they would just teach in the back, right? And then people would sign in during that time, and for the most part that worked for everybody, but that didn't work for me. Only because my iMac is not designed for a martial arts class meeting. It's designed for this type of interaction, right? Where the camera is only like 2 feet away from you, right? So the camera was not great if you're standing further than 2 feet away. The audio sucks if you're standing more than 2 feet away, right?
That's true. Yeah.
So they can barely hear you unless you want to spend a lot more money on equipment just to be able to do Zoom classes, right? And so at that time I was already filming. So what I would do is I would pre-record all my lessons with a microphone, with an HD camera, upload it to YouTube, send the link to my students, and they would actually watch it, and then they would post a video of them doing it, and then we do a Zoom meeting where we put the videos side by side to each other, right? When we share the video. And what that allowed me to do is high quality video, high quality audio. My students can see the salient details of what we're trying to do. But it also, and this was something I wasn't planning, it was 100% unintended benefit, that I was no longer constrained in a time zone, right? If you're having a class at 7 p.m. here in California, it's 7 p.m. in California, but not anywhere else in the world, right? Everywhere it could be 7 a.m. in another part of the world, right? And they can't do a training at 7 a.m. They're getting ready for work. But what this allowed people to do was they're able to watch it at their own time, at their own leisure, when they're available, and then they can post the video whenever they're available, and then we can Zoom whenever we're available. So I was able to get students as far away from Japan, the Caribbeans, Ireland at one point. So I was no longer constrained by time zones, right? And so TikTok allowed me to continue posting stuff about my techniques and my studio, and inadvertently it also raises my search engine optimization, because I would always put FMASCHOOL, or then hashtag Filipino martial arts, hashtag Eskrima, hashtag Big Boy Escrimador, right? And anybody who understands SEO, the more you put that out there on the online, the more your ranking stays up. Now, I've had a very high ranking for many years now, but I had to maintain it. And so when students reach out to me, oh, I saw your video, or I just Googled you, I can't directly say it was because of TikTok, right? That they found my studio, that they found my school, but it doesn't hurt. But then now I have videos that are averaging pretty decently. I mean, nothing to the millions of followers, but I do have one video that 100% organic that went 1.4 million views. Right. And I'm like, oh, I don't know how I did that, but I'm going to try to do it again. And then, but what I found was that, just post it out there, and then it's not going to hurt your business. It's just going to enhance it.
So tell me about the one that went 1 million views. Now, tell me what video that was.
So that
what
was
made
me.
You think it went?
So I was actually in Portland. I'm sorry, Salem, Oregon. One of my online students invited me to do a workshop out there, right? And I did that, and I was working with one of the people that was attending the workshop, right? And I was showing him the tappy tappy. The tappy tappy is when you're just simulating, how you would counter your attack. So you block, then counter 1, 2, 3, 4, just it's a drill, right? And then, but what I wanted to show that person is, how does this translate, this tappy tappy, how does this translate to real life situational fighting? And then I put the knife, I put my stick down, and then I just started doing the same motion as if somebody was to punch me. And I guess people really liked it, and he got 1.4 million views. So
I think I know what video you're talking about. You were going slow, and then you went almost like a block check counter trike.
Right.
I think that's, and it was speed, right?
Right.
And I remember that video. I said I remember that video because you had excellent hand speed on that. I remember it. So that's the one that went one. That's the one that just took off. Isn't that weird? Yeah. That's just weird. What? But what's
even weirder was that there was another video in that same trip that went like 600,000 views, and I'm like, man, maybe it's just Portland, or maybe just Salem. I don't know. I got to go over there to make more videos. But then I started making other videos that was also doing pretty well. So I just think that when people, I mean, it has also a lot to do with TikTok algorithms. But when people, see something, that they can connect to. And that's ultimately the key. You got to make a video that connects to your audience, right? And that's how you get them to engage into, hey, how do I want to learn this? Let me Google this person. Let me Google the nearest school, right? And then that's how you start getting the business.
So, talking, it doesn't have to be martial arts in everybody that's online. So do you have, how consistent are you? What have you learned about TikTok that you can give other people some kind of, ideas on how to do it? Sure. Obviously, consistency has to be one, right? You have to be consistently putting content out, because if you're not consistent, it just kind of goes away. So what have you learned, the do's and don'ts of what you've learned?
So the one thing that people need to understand about social media, the social media is a beast that's always hungry, and that you always have to feed it, right? And if you don't feed it, social media will move on from you, right? And it'll take a long time for you to get that attention back. So the idea here is just like what you said, is posting consistent video that's consistently talking about the same message, right? So if I'm putting a video about martial arts, Filipino martial arts, it has to be Filipino martial arts in every aspect that you're posting. Now, once in a while, I'll do something that's just for fun, but I would say 98% of the time I'm posting a video, it is FMA related. It is FMA related, and what I'm talking about is not just talking about events such as the Way of the Karambit seminar in San Francisco this October 21 and 21, 22, right? I'm not just talking about tournaments. I'm talking about tutorial videos, right? And I'm talking about, and I do this thing called Motivation Monday, where I talk about how FMA helps me move to the, just stay motivated every single day. So it has to be the same topic over and over again, so that when people look up Filipino martial arts, they're going to see your name pop up. So whatever field you're in, let's say you're into roses, right? You can't talk about different other plants. You can't talk about different other flowers. You can't talk about tulips all of a sudden, because that's not what you're known for, right? So really hone in on your message, right? Now, here's what I tell a lot of my marketing clients. There's nearly 8 billion people in this planet, right? If 0.1% of that, how many is that? I don't know. I'm not that kind of Asian. So let's just say 800 million people, right? If it's 0.1% people likes what you're talking about, that's still 800 million people, right? And so pick one thing that you're really passionate about, what you're really good at, what you really can talk about. Even if you're not good at it, film your process in becoming good at it, right? Because people want to see journey. They just want some stories from you. And you need to be a storyteller as well. There's got to be something that grabs their attention, and then something that what you're telling them, and then how do they engage with it, right? So those are the things that they need. So if anybody wants to start doing any social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Shorts, you have to follow that premise. And then the last advice that I have is people's attention span is not that great. So you got to keep it, TikTok was really good at this when it was under a minute, but now they want things that are longer. But it doesn't matter what the algorithm says, people's attention span is still not that long. So if you can't capture them within the 5 seconds, you're not capturing them at all. So those are my advice. Pick a lane and stick with it.
So those are great advice as far as that goes on what you're talking about. Because I've heard this quite often, that you have to stay within your niche and you can't go off on different tangents, because then it never flourishes, right?
Yeah, because the algorithm.
What was the biggest?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. What was the biggest mistake that you felt that you've done? What's the biggest mistake that you said, I ain't gonna go that route again? Or has there not been?
Actually, there is. the biggest mistake I've done, and it's to the detriment of my. The result of it was my numbers dropped dramatically. My engagement numbers dropped dramatically, but I don't regret doing it. Was when the biggest mistake was when I was engaging all these haters. Right, I was engaging all these haters, and then when I decided, you know what, I'm done with it. You know, my sanity was a lot better. Right, my mental health was a lot better, but my views dropped dramatically. Right, because unfortunately, negative. You know, what's that? Negative energy just kind of pushes this forward, and I just didn't want to contribute to it anymore. So my biggest mistake was at first engaging the negative, and then but yeah, it blew up my channel. But when I stopped, I'm like, I feel a lot better now. I will engage some negative comments once in a while, but only because I want people who are people of size like myself to see that, hey, I'm not letting people push me around. So there's that. But that's the biggest mistake, was engaging these negative comments to begin with, which blew up my channel. But at the same time, it I feel like I was losing my soul. So yeah. I stopped doing it.
That's good. You're right about that. I guess negative just kind of breeds negativity. You know, people like to see the. I don't know. I find it weird, right? People like to see the hero, the story that goes from, zero to hero.
Right.
But they also like to see the mess, right?
Yeah.
The train wreck that you don't want to look at, but
you can't help yourself.
You want to be, you can't help yourself, but be kind of involved in what it is. And I don't know, do you find yourself, when you're attacked, people coming to your rescue now?
Oh yeah,
when we get attacked, or like,
like
to the point that you don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
The people that follow you talk it, right?
Absolutely. So one of them is Doug Marqueta. Another one is his name is Paul McCarthy. He is the UCLA martial arts director, right? And he is by far one of my favorite people on this planet, because he has defended me like very, 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 very vocally on social media. Right. So one of the things that I remember this, and he mentioned this, is that, UCLA, I'm paraphrasing, but he said UCLA has probably one of the most globally recognized brand in the world. Right. And you could only imagine how many masters and grandmasters want to work with us and request, hey, why don't we collaborate? And we don't collaborate with just anybody. And he goes, there's a reason why we collaborate with Guro Francis. And I'm just like, whoa. To me, that was like, whoa. And I remember I called him like, brother, thank you. He's like, no, I'm not going to let anybody talk shit about you. Right. And then so I mean, I'm just so great. I mean, and that's just one example. I have tons of people. Fred Mastro, for example, is one of them. Cliff Odette, the North American director for Master Defense System. Like I said, Doug, my students, they're all like, I have all these people that just come to run to my defense. I don't even say anything anymore. They just do it for me. Right. I'm just like, and I'm usually the one calming them down. I'm like, hey, it's okay, guys. Oh my God. Calm down. They're like, no. I'm like, oh. So another one was many, many years ago, I was actually on a National Geographic show where they talked about my surgery when I got my first gastric bypass, well, the one and only gastric bypass surgery. A lot of people, I didn't know this, but National Geographic posted it on YouTube, and people were telling me about it. And so now when people tell me, hey, I want to see your TV show, I said, okay, no, I'm not showing it to you. They're like, why not? Because you're going to read the comments and then you're going to get really pissed, and then it's just going to destroy your well-being. No, I promise I won't. Okay. So I'll send them the link. And then next thing you know, I'm like, I told you not to read the comments. I told you, these are people who have nothing better to do with their lives. Like this one lady accused me, the reason why there's people starving in Africa is because of me. I'm like, yeah, I did that because I went to McDonald's and then people in Africa are starving because I went to McDonald's. Like, I have the power, So yeah, it's just, it's weird. it's weird. But at the same time, if you choose and like you mentioned, it takes a little bit of a testicular fortitude to post stuff online, right? You can't, you got to accept it. That's just a part of the game, right? But what's also part of the game is how you respond to it.
Yeah, and like I told you before, you're really good at that. It's in, this is one of those things that, people, this is what I knew that this discussion would go this way, because a lot of people won't do martial. It's hard enough to step into a martial arts school.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I hear it all the time. They're a little intimidated by it. You watch an advanced Krav Maga class, for instance, right? Where we're redirecting guns and we're doing what we do, and and just the mindset of you don't quit. You figure a way out. You do what
Yes.
all that kind of stuff is intimidating. But then when you're out of shape on top of it, I hear it all the time. And I tell everybody, you do not let that stop you. Don't go tell me that you got to go get in shape to come and take class.
Yeah.
Let the class. I said, your problem is not that you have to either lose weight or you're nursing an injury or whatever it is. You're missing your mindset.
Yeah.
That's what martial arts is going to teach you, is a mindset.
Right.
And so I'm sure you've heard the same thing. Well, I can't get in there until I'm in shape.
Yeah, people, I really want to join Francis, but let me just get in shape first. Sure.
What?
Like, so it's like if you want to learn how to become you want to learn how to fly planes. I want to learn fly planes, but let me go learn how to fly. Let me go learn how to fly first. Like, but that's what you come in. What? That doesn't make any, like, it's like I want to sign up for the gym, but let me be in shape first. What? That's why you go to the gym. But a lot of people. So here's the mindset that I've actually been becoming more and more accepting of. When people are contacting me for whatever reason about learning how to learn FMA, right? You're not trying to convince them, because it's like it's like slamming your head against a brick wall. All you're doing is just destroying yourself. You have to give them permission to finally take a plunge on themselves. And I tell them, like, martial arts is for you. It's not for anybody else. It's not for your family. It's for you. Sure, your family benefits from it, but mostly it's for you. And you can't just you got to give yourself permission to. Hey, that's one of my students. People don't want teachers to see that. Well, I mean, that's the thing, Rick. I mean, we don't want to see them at their worst, but that's how we build you up. Right? We build you from the ground up. In many systems. They break you down before they pick you up, right? So they build you back up. But ultimately, what I've been trying to tell people is, like, give yourself permission to do something for yourself, right? Give yourself permission. If you say, okay, I'm out of shape, that's why I'm not ready to do martial arts. Well, give yourself permission to get in shape by doing the martial arts that you want to do, right? A lot of people don't know this, and I'm sure you know this, Mark. But a lot of people don't know this. The biggest competitor that martial arts schools have is not other martial arts systems. It's actually gyms, right? Because gyms are like $19.95 a month, right? And they're like, oh, so it's such an appealing number in the mindset of the consumer, right? But the problem is that when they get there, it's like, okay, well, now you have the gym. Go do at it. How do you know how to use the equipment? How do you know if you're doing it correctly? What are the things to be able to do that? Oh, that's where they say, oh, that costs more to get a personal trainer, right? And that's where they get you. And a lot of people don't know this, that gyms, these big box gyms, right? Their business model is designed for you not to show up at the gym,
that's
right?
Correct.
That's it's like, for example, if they need 1,000 members to make their rent, just throwing a number out there, right? But there's only 20 treadmills. How are you going to fit everybody in there, right? They're hoping you don't show up, and because $19.95 is such it's such a small amount, you don't want to go, and it doesn't hurt you. It doesn't hurt your wallet that much, right? And then in order for you to cancel, you have to go in person to the gym before, and then they're going to try to upsell you again, right? So bottom line here is that they're not there really. I'm not saying that they're evil people, but their business model is not designed for you to succeed. They're designed for them to succeed, not for you to succeed. When you join a martial arts school, your teacher is invested in your well-being, right? And if they don't, run away, right? That's not the right school for you, right? But a martial arts instructor is there to see you succeed, right? To see you succeed, and then you already have a personal trainer, you have classmates that's work with you, you have equipment there, and it's a small group setting. It's such a better model. So if you're looking to do martial arts but waiting to get in shape to do it, no, that doesn't make any sense to us, right? You want to get in shape and you want to learn martial arts, then you just start martial arts. Give yourself permission to do something that you want to do.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I believe so. From a business standpoint, so people understand, 0.5% of a community will take martial arts, where 5% of the community will go to a gym.
Yes.
Or sign up for a gym. Absolutely. I wouldn't say they go to the gym. I would say they sign up for the gym.
Exactly.
So that's another, just another avenue that, because I used to have this. Me personally, see some people during the COVID, I made myself a really nice gym in my house because I like to push the weights. You know what I mean? Right. I've been doing it for so long. I enjoy it.
Right.
But yes, that's true. Rick is correct. Another big piece. The gym doesn't promise you mentorship. You're well. Yeah. Matter of fact, you want to talk about getting made fun of? You go to a gym as a fat person, and people, people look at you or like and they used to just piss me off to no end, and I'm thinking to myself, I remember in my head, I'm like, I like to snatch the life right out of you. Cause I've watched it, and then, and I feel that, guys are one thing when I watch it in the female world on, and then them just struggle, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's hard. It's hard for me. I have a heart for them because, I lived that life, and I watched it, and I watch it struggle now today. Listen, our children are so out of shape. It just pisses me off.
Absolutely.
They won't unless it's a private school, they won't let us put martial arts in the schools. They won't let us have that mentorship. The bullying is off the chart. And this is this gets controversial with me, but I really feel that they do not have enough males on the playground in there for mentorship in the schools. I see it all the time. And you can say what you want, but I know that if I was walking around campus, there'd be a lot less bullying going on. I can tell you that for a fact.
No,
I wouldn't let it go.
I agree with you.
I'm not about and I watch on how we feed our children or how the schools are feeding the kids and what the garbage food that goes in. And it's hard. There's an epidemic of that. And we train hard. But the health side of things is extremely disheartening when I watch it, man. I get it hurts my heart sometimes.
No,
when I watch kids getting bullied, watching young females and having no self-esteem and
absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's not just that. And by the way, everybody out there, it's not just somebody that's dealing with being heavyset or fat.
Yeah,
it's dealing with you can be skinny and get the same treatment, right? The skinny person is getting the same treatment.
Absolutely.
Maybe your lip is a little bit off, or your speech is different,
or your clothes are not
right, exactly. It's we talk about something that has affected us, but I see it affect everybody. Then I see adults affected by the same thing. They're even adults that our self-esteem is down. And if there's anything that I can tell anybody about it, even as an adult. Your mindset is so important to what you can never, ever get yourself to do what you want to do until your mind is correct.
Absolutely.
And I don't know another vehicle that gets your mindset as much as martial arts does.
Absolutely. So here's one thing that I've observed. We never left high school, right? The way we deal with social setting is high school. You go to a job, there's the executives, right? And then the people that the executive, the subordinates that they like. And then there's the people who are just the maintenance crew, the janitors and stuff like that, right? And then there's the people who are the people who are just the delivery guys. There's like tables that we're allowed to sit at, right? I never believed in those things, so I always try to break that barrier. I will sit with the janitorial staff. I will sit with the maintenance crew. I will sit with the executives of the companies, right? When I used to work for a lighting company, when I first started working, I was just a marketing assistant. But I would have lunch with the vice president of the company at least once a week. I would have lunch with all the sales, all the managers at least once a week, and they would buy me lunch. So why would I not go? I mean, hey, we go someplace nice, and the company pays for it, right? So, but then at the same time, I would go sit in the back and hang out with the shipping and delivery guys. I would hang out with the people at the manufacturing side, right? Because I never believed in that. But the thing about it is that nobody's gonna put value in you until you put value in yourself. Right? When I say I am good enough to sit in the table with the CEO of the company, then I'm also good enough to sit at the table with the janitorial staff. Not that I don't even believe that they're lesser, but just because of the way society looks at things, that's what it is. Then if we're talking about also what it's like in school, I agree with you. There's not enough mentorship. There's not enough mentorship. I went to a private school. Right. And I was just very blessed that I had a lot of people there that really loved me. But that's because a lot of it was I didn't care what people think of me. Right. And part of that, and just for full disclosure, part of that was around the time my father passed away. Right. He died when I was 16 years old. So, so me really caring about school, about high school shit. No, my dad was dying of cancer. Nothing was more nothing took precedent over that. But because I never really cared about that kind of stuff, it never really affected me. But for most of my high school career, but it did when I was a freshman before my dad got sick. Right. But yeah, I mean, bottom line here is that you're right. There's not enough mentorship, but I think mentorship should start at home. It should start with the parents. I worked as a youth pastor for many, many years now, right? And what I always tell the parents is that do not expect me to be the spiritual example for your children. That's your job. When God gave you kids, that was your response. That was the responsibility that God gave you, was that you're supposed to be the spiritual example for your children, right? Meaning you can't expect your kids to go to church every Sunday if you're not going to church every Sunday. You can't expect your children to tithe if you're not tithing, right? Now, I'm the guy, and I tell this to the parents, I'm the support guy. I'm the guy that throws in the biblical stuff, right? But your job is to be the spiritual example. So I think that and don't get me wrong, both my parents worked my whole life, right? Well, my whole upbringing. But there was a reason why my parents always had the business at the house. Was because they wanted to be there while I was growing up. They needed to be a parent at home all the time. So I was very blessed to have that. But I know that economically, parents can't just be at home anymore. They both have to work. I understand all that. But there's a cost to it. And the cost is that, like what you said, Mark, there's not enough mentorship. And if you're expecting the teachers to be the mentor, they have like 40 students, 30 students. It's impossible for them to be able to achieve that. That's why extracurricular activities such as martial arts is one of the ways to go. And that's why I completely agree with you. Martial arts is a way to you to change that mindset.
Well, I think that when I think mentorship is probably key to all. And if anybody outside looking for a martial arts school, what you want to take is one thing, but who you take it from is the most major part that you're making the decision.
That's another one too. Yeah, because for all we know, you're taking lessons from Adolf Hitler. So
right. You have to make those. You got to make that. You got to make those decisions properly.
Yes, I agree.
So let's take this. So we're I knew this hour would go fast. So let's talk about a couple more things. Let's talk about those. Let's talk about the sticks that you made.
Wonderful.
Those you guys that are out there in a martial arts world, especially in like in my school for sure, because like I told you before, the Dog Brothers are part of what we do. But even in Krav Maga, we try and have something that is more realistic martial arts training.
Right.
And so you have sticks out, and you. Interesting name called WakWak sticks because probably because you whack the shit out of each other with them. But once you talk about what that is and how you came about with that, let's talk about that first.
Okay, so in the industry, right? There's only a handful of companies that sells padded sticks because the profit margin is very, very minimal. It costs too much to make it. So what I found what was available for us in the industry was not very durable, and it was too expensive to replace. So as soon as you buy a brand new padded stick and it breaks within an hour of you using it, you have to pay another $30 to get another one, right? So what I've been doing is I've been buying those pool noodles at the 99-cent store and just wrapping my stick on that. But again, that was the only option that we had. So me and my business partner, David, we knew we wanted something that's more durable. So we contacted one of my former students and still a brother to me in the Philippines. And he hooked me up with this guy who makes padded sticks. And we told him that these sticks needs to be durable, right? These needs to be durable because we want to be able to use this in tournaments. I went to a tournament last year in San Diego where within the first hour, they broke 5 sticks already. Right. And it was the kids division. It's the kids division. It's not even the adults division yet. Right. It's the kids division. And the solution that the tournament director said was, you guys, you don't need to hit each other that hard. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is the only place where I'm allowed to hit somebody as hard as I want legally. Right. So that really bothered me. So that's why when David and I wanted to start our own padded stick company, we wanted something that was durable. Right. So when we contacted these guys in the Philippines, we had them design it to our specs, have it shipped to us, and then we started just putting it out there. We started sending them to a bunch of different martial artists, right, just to get their feedback. And then when we hosted our first tournament last June, right, we did the whole tournament and we only broke 2 sticks, right? I mean, when you have my competitor's stick breaking within the first hour, 5 sticks within the first hour, we ran our whole tournament and we broke 2 sticks. And we broke one of the sticks because one guy snaked it like this and twisted and it snapped at that point. So so we're like, wow, we only broke 2 sticks, and I was very happy with that. Then a few weeks ago, we went to a tournament in Stockton, the Kamikaze tournament, and we only broke 1 stick. And it was again at the end of the tournament. So we knew that we wanted something durable that people can depend on when they're sparring, right? When they're sparring. Now, a lot of people have said, "Oh, but your sticks hurt." It's supposed to hurt, right? It's not made out of cotton candy, right? It's supposed to hurt, and the reason why it's supposed to hurt is because you want respect defense until you get hit in the face, right? You're like, oh man, that sucked. I better move. I better block. I better evade, right? Because I don't want to get hit again, right? It's like I always tell this to people. I can tell you that fire burns all day long, right? But until you get burned for the first time, you're not going to respect the fire. You're not going to respect the flame, right? The WakWak padded stick is designed for you to feel the impact, but prevent a lot of permanent body damage, right? So that the roofing grade foam that we use inside the padded stick will absorb a lot of that hit, but you're still going to feel it. So you're like, yep, I better block. Now, and you also mentioned about the name WakWak, and yes, it's you know, I'm whacking somebody. It's actually, that's not why we call it WakWak. The reason why we call it WakWak is actually the proper pronunciation is WakWak, right? And I swear to you, Mark, this was the Lord talking to me, right? He said we were trying to come up with a name for the company. And I just decided to Google Filipino mythical creatures. Like there was like somebody said, go look up Filipino mythical creatures. And one of them is a WakWak. A WakWak, the reason why it's called WakWak is because the noise that its wings made every time it flaps, wak, wak, right? So we're like, that's the name. That's the name of my company, WakWak. And because one, I didn't want to come up with a name that non-Filipinos couldn't understand, right? But of course, like you being non-Filipino, you know it sounds like WakWak. It's still the same meaning, right. But the etymology of the name WakWak is because of the mythical creature in the Philippines. So it's a way for me to still be connected with my culture without being in your face about it, and yet non-Filipinos can also understand it. So that's where we came up with the name WakWak.
That's good. Now, what's the website?
Yeah, I was about to say.
If people are wanting to buy some of the sticks, what's the website for it?
Yeah, no. You can definitely get any of these padded sticks, and we also have the padded edge knife trainers at wakwak.store. That's WAKWAK.store. And after this show, if you type in Matt 10, you'll get 10% discount.
Awesome. We'll pass that on to everybody. Now, tell everybody where your school is at, so in case they're in your area.
Yes, so I teach in downtown Riverside, off of University. And if you go to my website at FMASCHOOL.com, you fill out the Get Started form, and we'll get you going. And I teach in North Orange County, in Cypress. So, and I teach there every other Saturday. So if you guys are in Orange County or in Riverside County, come look me up at FMASCHOOL.com.
That's good. Yes, I think that we've talked to you before to have we're gonna probably have you out there. This is one of my students. What's he saying?
Hey, Krav Dragon.
He's saying Kathy's my girlfriend. He's like,
oh, okay.
He's like, fact check that with Miss Kathy, the WakWak.
Yeah, no, please do.
You're Asian too, bro. You're Asian too, bro. What's up? What? Get out of here.
Please do fact check it. But keep in mind, these are mythical creatures. They're not real, right? So there's never been any photos of it.
I know what he's doing. Okay, let me tell you about Krav Dragon. This is how he's fun. This is how his mind says. Everything he pays for, everything. If it's $100 or it's $1,000, is in $2 bills.
Right.
That's how he pays me every time. Wow. I've got a stack of $2 so bills. Funny. It's so funny. I'm the KDEX phone guy.
From
what? Mr. Francis? I'm that KDEX phone guy from what? Have you guys met before?
I'm really bad with names.
From DM Clads. Is that something that have you guys met before?
Well, first of all, what is Clads? I mean, like that sounds kind of dirty. Like, no, I don't do those, man. That wasn't me, I swear.
He's one of my black belts. He's one of my Krav Maga black belts. I'm gonna have to ask him. Maybe you guys ran into each other somewhere. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask him about that.
That handle sounds very familiar, though. To be honest with you, that handle sounds very familiar. So
yeah, it's very We'll find that out. So you guys, he's out there in. So listen, everybody that's listening to us, I know we're coming up, or I'm already past your time. I want to be respectful of your time, but we have, I will have this all written. This will all be on audio at the end of by end of day tonight. I'll have it, and it'll be uploaded to my audio podcast. That way you can share it out. You guys, if you want to get a hold of him, so go ahead, tell everybody your TikTok handle real quick.
Yeah, so if you guys want to follow me on TikTok, it's Big Boy Escrimador. And then if you want to go to my website, FMASCHOOL.com. And if you don't mind, Mark, I would like to kind of share. Oh, Doug Marcata class. Okay, yeah. He came to the
He must have came to the class. I guess he's the one that if you remember him now, he does. He wears a KDEX phone. You know, he's got knives and stuff all over him. He would have been in.
Yeah, you were the guy that paid us in $2 bills. Yeah, I remembered him. No,
yes. If he didn't pay my credit card, I guarantee you he paid in $2 bills. I guarantee it.
I mean, why was he Venmoing me $2 at a time? Like, what the heck is this about, man? No, so if you don't mind, let me just plug in a couple of things. I'm going to be at the Mid-Autumn Festival here at Mount San Antonio College this Saturday and Sunday. We're going to be at booth number 4. And if you want to come to the Doug Marcata seminar right here, the Wave the Karambit session 2 and 3, Krav Dragon, I hope you can go. It's going to be in San Francisco. Go to legacyfma.com/Doug Marcata. There's still time to sign up, and it's going to be a great event. Doug is one of my favorite people just all around, right? And one of the things, and if you don't mind me sharing this real quick, Mark, one of the things that makes him a really great guy, on the very first seminar I hosted him back in 2016, and he was about to start teaching within 10 minutes. He had a list in his hand written on a piece of paper about the things that he wants to show, what he wants to show that day. And then he came up, Francis, do you think they would like this? Do you think they would? How about if I do this? What if I do this? He is that much aware, and he is that much, like, he's put so much thought in making sure that people learn and have a great time to his event. I mean, for somebody to be that nervous about what he's going to be showing, because he cares. And that's why he's one of my favorite people. So, yeah. So thanks, everybody, again, for allowing me. So Big Boy Screamer on TikTok, FMASchool.com if you want to learn, take classes. If you want to buy the padded sticks, it's WakWak.store. And then after this show, if you sign up, if you type in the code MAT10, you'll get a 10% discount.
It's awesome. Well, we appreciate your hour, you guys. I'll have this out on audio for you by end of day. Let's thank Francis for his hour and all his wisdom that we had today. Excellent show. Excellent show. Looking forward to meeting in person, and we'll do that real soon.
Yeah, brother. Take care, everybody.
All right.
You've been listening to Real Talk with Mark Cox. Real life, real topics, real conversation. We're passionate about motivation, fitness, self-defense, weight loss, and coming at it from a real angle. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. And we hope you had fun. We know we did. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit us up on Instagram and Facebook at MarkCox100. Make sure to subscribe and review. And tell a friend or two about the show. For more, hit up the website at markcox.com. Till next time, keep it real.